The desert was silent. Only the wind moved, blowing across the endless sand, carrying whispers of old secrets. Beneath the surface, hidden for 1,000 years, something waited. Ethan did not know he was walking into history that night. He was only a student, young and curious, following his professor on a dig far from the city. He came with hopes of finding pottery, old tools, or maybe some carvings that would earn him a small note in a science journal. He never imagined he would find this. The team had worked for weeks, digging in the rocky desert caves. The locals avoided the place, calling it cursed. They told stories of a giant watcher who punished anyone who disturbed its sleep. Ethan laughed at the stories. He loved science, not superstition. But the deeper they dug, the stranger it became. Their tools picked up unusual energy, and their lights flickered for no reason. Still, they kept digging, because that is what explorers do. Finally, one morning, the dust cleared, and there it stood. A statue. It was enormous, at least 3 meters tall, carved from a black stone that shimmered faintly in the dark cave. The shape was not human. It had long arms, claws, like curved blades, and a face stretched with sharp angles. Its eyes were closed, but the detail was so real that Ethan almost believed it could open them at any moment. The professor claimed it was just ancient art, maybe a forgotten alien worship symbol. Others argued it was a burial monument. But Ethan felt uneasy. Something about the statue seemed alive. That night, when most of the team went to rest, a few stayed behind near the statue. They lit a campfire, shared some food, and told jokes to shake off the tension. Someone pulled out a phone, playing music softly, breaking the heavy silence of the cave. Then one of the team members, a loud guy named Mark, smirked and said, "Hey, Ethan, you're always staring at that creepy rock monster. Why don't you kiss it goodnight?" The group laughed. Another joined in. "Yeah, give it a little smooch. Maybe it'll wake up and marry you." Ethan rolled his eyes. Very funny. But the laughter continued, and the dare grew louder. The more he refused, the more they teased. Finally, he stood, brushing off the sand from his hands. "Fine, you want me to? I'll do it. But you all better remember who kissed a 1,000-year-old alien first." The group cheered as he stepped toward the statue. His heart pounded, but he told himself it was just stone. Cold, lifeless stone. Still, he felt the air shift as he got closer, as if the cave itself was holding its breath. He placed one hand on the rough stone surface. It was colder than ice, even in the burning desert heat. He leaned forward, pressing a quick, choking kiss against the statue's cheek. The group erupted in laughter. "Woo! Ethan and his alien bride!" Mark shouted. Ethan smirked, ready to step back when it happened. The stone felt warm. Too warm. His skin tingled where his lips had touched it. Then, slowly, impossibly, the statue's eyelids trembled. A crack of glowing light slipped through. Ethan froze. His breath caught in his throat. The eyes opened. They were not human eyes. They were deep pools of burning gold, like stars captured inside stone. They looked straight at him, not past him, not through him, but into him. His knees almost gave way. And then it spoke. The voice was not loud, yet it filled the cave, echoing in every corner, inside every ear. "You, doomed, your species." The laughter died instantly. Everyone went silent. The fire crackled, but even that sound seemed weak. Ethan staggered back, his face pale. Did you hear that?" He whispered. No one answered. They only stared wide-eyed, some dropping their food, others clutching their flashlights tighter. The statue's eyes glowed one last time, then slowly closed. The stone face returned to stillness, cold and dead as before. For a long moment, Nobody moved. Finally, Mark forced a laugh, though his voice shook. "Nice trick, Ethan. How'd you do that? Speaker hidden in your pocket?" But no one laughed with him. They all felt that the words were real. The voice was not a trick. Ethan sat down hard on the sand, still staring at the statue. His heart raced, his thoughts spinning. "What does that mean?" He whispered. "What does it mean, Doomed?" No answer came. The cave was silent again. Silent, but not empty. It felt as if something had awakened, something that had waited 1,000 years for one foolish kiss dot far above the desert. The night sky stretched endlessly, filled with stars. But in that cave, under the earth, a darker future had already begun, and Ethan had no idea what he had just unleashed. The awakening the cave felt colder the next morning. When Ethan woke, his first thought was that the desert sun should have baked the air into unbearable heat. But instead, the cave carried a strange chill. His breath fogged faintly as he sat up on his sleeping mat. Around him, the others moved slowly, speaking in whispers, as if afraid the stone walls were listening not. No one mentioned the voice from the statue. Not directly. Mark tried to crack jokes at breakfast, but his laughter sounded weak, almost forced. The professor studied the statue's face with nervous eyes, scribbling in his notebook, but writing less than usual. The rest of the team avoided, looking at it all together, as though eye contact might invite something they couldn't handle. But Ethan couldn't look away. The image replayed in his mind, the golden eyes opening, the words echoing inside his skull. "You doomed your species." Every time he blinked, he saw it again. He felt the warmth still on his lips, a ghost of heat that shouldn't be there. When he touched the statue again, pretending to examine it, he almost pulled back. The stone was cold to the others, but to him it pulsed faintly, like the beat of a heart. That afternoon, strange things began to happen. Their radios died without reason. Batteries drained within minutes, even new ones. Cameras refused to capture the statue. Every picture turned into static or blurred streaks, no matter how steady the hand. The professor cursed at his equipment, swearing it had worked perfectly the night before, but it wasn't only machines. The cave itself seemed alive. Carvings they hadn't noticed before now glowed faintly, lines of alien symbols stretching across the walls. They pulsed with a dim blue light, as though reacting to the statue's presence. One student, a quiet girl named Lila, stared at the glowing walls and whispered, "It looks like it's breathing." Nobody laughed. That night, the campfire offered no comfort. The cave seemed hungrier, swallowing their voices in deep echoes. The air was heavier, carrying a faint vibration that tickled their bones. Ethan tried to sleep, but woke suddenly, heart racing, when he heard its stone grinding against stone. He sat up, his flashlight trembling in his hand. The sound was coming from the statue. He swung the light toward it and froze. The statue was not standing where it had been before. It leaned slightly against the back wall of the cave. Now it stood several feet closer. Its claws extended a little more, its head tilted slightly downward, as though watching them sleep. Ethan's skin crawled. He blinked rapidly, convincing himself it was a trick of the shadows. But when he rubbed his eyes and looked again, the position had not changed back. "Wake up," he whispered, shaking Mark's shoulder. It moved. Mark groaned, annoyed. "What are you?" He opened his eyes, followed Ethan's flashlight, and went pale. They woke the others, one by one. Soon, the entire group stood in silence, staring at the statue. The professor's hands shook so badly he nearly dropped his notebook. "It's impossible," he muttered, voice trembling. "Statues do not move." And yet, there it was. Suddenly, the glowing carvings on the walls brightened, filling the cave with a cold blue light. A low hum rose in the air, vibrating through their teeth. The ground beneath them quivered as dust rained down from the ceiling. Lila screamed. The statue's eyes snapped open. Golden fire blazed inside them, brighter than before, piercing the darkness. This time, no one could pretend it was imagination. The glow burned through the cave, painting the walls in alien light. And then, the voice came again, louder, stronger, impossible to ignore. The seal is broken. The countdown begins. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. He felt nailed to the floor by those glowing eyes. "What countdown?" The professor shouted, his voice cracking. "What do you mean?" The statue did not answer. Instead, the blue symbols on the walls began to rearrange themselves. They shifted like liquid, twisting into shapes that slowly formed words in English. Ethan's stomach dropped as he read them aloud. "Your kiss was the key." A teen turned to him, faces pale and horrified. "Me?" Ethan stammered. I didn't know." The words shifted again. "The seal is broken." Then again. Countdown begins. The light flickered violently. Their flashlights exploded one by one, sparks flying in the darkness. Radios hissed with static. A deep cracking sound echoed, as if the cave itself was splitting open. Ethan grabbed Lila's hand and pulled her back, shouting, "We have to get out." But before anyone could move, heavy footsteps echoed from the deeper tunnels of the cave. Thud, 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 thud. They were not echoes of their own movements. These were heavier, slower. Ancient. Something was coming. The team huddled together, eyes darting into the black tunnels. The fire had gone out, leaving only the blue alien glow on the walls. Each step grew louder, closer, shaking loose rocks from the ceiling. Mark whispered, barely breathing, "We're not alone down here." Ethan's throat went dry. The statue was not just a statue. It was a prison. And now, something inside the cave was waking. The last thing Ethan saw, before the light vanished completely, was the statue's mouth, curving into a smile. The message. The cave was silent after the footsteps. Too silent. The teen pressed their backs against the wall, their breaths shallow, their eyes wide. The glowing blue symbols painted the walls like ghostly veins. The hum in the air grew sharper. Like invisible wires strung too tight, Ethan's heart thudded in his chest. He wanted to speak, to whisper that maybe it was just their imagination, but he couldn't, because deep down, he knew. Something was here. Something had woken. The professor, hands shaking, lifted his notebook like a shield. His voice was broken, frantic. "This is impossible. This cannot be real. Statues do not move. Languages do not rewrite themselves. This is—" He stopped. His flashlight flickered once, and died. The cave plunged into blue alien glow. Shadows, stretched long and unnatural. Then the sound came again. Not footsteps, a scraping, a dragging, something massive sliding against stone. Lila whimpered softly, "It's coming," the professor snapped. "Quiet! Don't!" Before he could finish, the glowing words on the walls shifted once more. The blue symbols rippled like water, rearranging themselves. Every head turned as the alien script bent and reshaped into something terrifyingly clear. 3 words in English, the seal broken. Ethan's stomach dropped. His mind raced back to the kiss, his stupid dare, his moment of weakness. He whispered, "This is my fault." The words on the wall shifted again, slowly, like a living sentence forming right before their eyes. Countdown begins. Mark swore loudly, shoving his pack onto his shoulders. "I'm not staying here. I don't care what it is. We're leaving now." He bolted for the tunnel leading up to the surface. His footsteps echoed sharply against the stone. For one terrifying second, the cave went still, then the walls screamed. That was the only way Ethan could describe it. The blue. Symbols exploded in light. The hum became a deafening roar, and a wave of energy slammed through the cave. Dust and rock rained down, forcing the team to cover their heads. Mark's screen tore through the chaos. Ethan's flashlight beam cut through the dust, just enough to see Mark, frozen mid-run, his body trembling violently. His skin shimmered, with a blue glow as if invisible hands gripped him. His mouth opened to shout, but only a distorted, alien sound poured out. Then he was thrown back against the wall with a sickening crack. He lay still, too still. Lila sobbed into her hands. "Oh God, oh God." The professor clutched his notebook tighter, muttering numbers under his breath. Equations, trying to find reason in madness. But Ethan could not look away from the statue dot. It was smiling again. Its golden eyes flickered open, and its jaw cracked wider, stone lips curling as if mocking them. The deep, thunderous voice filled the chamber once more. "You have freed what should never wake." Ethan swallowed hard. His voice shook. "Who are you?" The cave seemed to laugh, not with sound, but with vibrations that rattled the bones. Then the glowing words shifted again across the walls. "I was prisoner. I was weapon. I was silence." The team stared, trembling, as the words continued to shift. "Your ancestors bound me. They feared me. They locked me in stone." The professor stammered, eyes wide. "Our ancestors? Humans? That's not possible." Humanity wasn't. The words burned brighter, interrupting him. "Your kiss was the key. The lock is broken. The prison fails." Ethan felt the ground sway beneath him. His lips trembled. "But why me?" For the first time, the statue's voice thundered aloud again, echoing through the stone like a drum of doom. Because humanity always dooms. Itself, curiosity, pride, arrogance, you cannot resist. The team shrank back as dust rained from the ceiling. The scraping sound in the tunnels grew louder, closer. The footsteps were not imagination. Something else was moving, something big, something free. The professor whispered hoarsely, "What countdown?" Countdown to what? The answer came not as words, but as an image. The walls lit up with burning holograms, visions of stars exploding, cities crumbling, oceans boiling under fire from the sky. Strange ships, shaped like blades in storms, falling upon worlds. Screams, endless screams, and then Earth. Ethan saw his own planet burn. Lila screamed, covering her eyes. The professor fell to his knees, whispering broken prayers. The vision ended, the glow fading back into faint blue veins across the walls. The message on the stone pulsed with finality. The countdown is your end. The doom of species. The return of the devourer. Ethan's throat went dry. He forced himself to ask, "How long? How much time do we have?" The answer came with terrifying clarity. 7 days. And then silence. The golden eyes of the statue snapped shut. The glow on the walls dimmed. The hum in the air faded until only the sound of their own ragged breathing remained. But the footsteps, those footsteps in the tunnel, they had not stopped. They were closer now. Much closer. Ethan realized with horror that the statue was not the danger. The statue had been the warning. The true danger was coming, and it was almost here. The enemy, the tunnels, shook. Each heavy step echoed like a drumbeat of doom, rolling through the cave walls, rattling dust loose from the ceiling. The sound was not quick, not hurried. It was deliberate, like something ancient, powerful, and patient. Something that already knew there was no escape. The team huddled closer together, flashlights trembling in their hands. The professor muttered calculations under his breath, whispering dates, times, numbers, as if equations could shield him. Lila clutched Ethan's arm so tightly, her nails dug into his skin. 7 days, she whispered, eyes wide with tears. We only have 7 days. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to promise her safety, to tell her everything would be fine, but the words caught in his throat. Because he knew they were lies, the footsteps grew louder. A scraping sound, followed like claws dragging against stone. Then, silence. The team froze, every ear strained. The silence was worse than the noise. It was the silence of something standing close listening. And then, the air changed. It grew heavy, as if the oxygen had been stolen away. The fireless blue glow along the walls dimmed, and then pulsed brighter, like a heartbeat. Their own breaths came shorter, shallower, harder to control. From the black mouth of the tunnel, 2 burning shapes appeared. Eyes. Not golden like the statues. These were red deep, ancient, bleeding with fury. The thing stepped forward. It was enormous, towering over them, even in the wide cavern. Its body was not stone, not fully flesh. Either it was a nightmare of metal and organic matter fused together, an ancient war machine with skin stretched over armor. Claws like jagged blades scraped against the cave floor, sending sparks flying. Its face was a twisted mask of sharp ridges and alien geometry, with a jaw that split too wide, filled with glowing teeth. The team shrank back against the wall. Mark's lifeless body still lay nearby, a reminder of what defiance meant. The alien's voice filled the chamber, not spoken through a mouth, but vibrating directly into their skulls. I was bound. For 1,000 years, I slept in chains of stone, and you, humans, freed me. Ethan's body shook. His mouth moved before he could stop himself. Why were you locked away? The alien tilted its massive head, those red eyes burning brighter. Because your kind once feared me. Your ancestors defied me. They stole my army, buried my ships, and trapped me here. But humans forget. Humans always forget. It stepped closer, each claw slicing grooves into the stone floor. You ask what I am? The voice thundered, shaking loose more dust from above. I am what your kind once called the Devourer. I do not conquer. I erase. Worlds burn where I walk. Oceans boil. Skies crack open. Life ends. The professor, his face pale and wet with sweat, stammered, If humanity defeated you before, we can do it again. The alien leaned close, its massive shadow swallowing him whole. Its voice dropped into a growl that vibrated through their bones. No, last time you won because of sacrifice. Your world nearly died to cage me. And now there will be no cage. No mercy, no mistake. Lila sobbed, pressing her face into Ethan's shoulder. Ethan's voice cracked. Why me? Why? Why use me to open the prison? The Devourer's grin stretched wider, its jagged teeth glowing like hot coals. Because your weakness is always curiosity. A dare, a kiss, a joke. You humans destroy yourselves with arrogance. And you, its burning eyes locked onto Ethan, searing his soul. You are the symbol of it. You freed me because you thought nothing mattered. The words stabbed deep into him. Shame burned hotter than fear. The alien rose to its full height, nearly scraping the cavern ceiling. Its voice turned thunderous again, echoing until the cave seemed to quake. I will rebuild my army. My ships lie waiting beneath your seas, your deserts, your mountains. Already they wake, and you will watch, helpless, as your world burns. That is your punishment. That is my gift. Suddenly, the ground beneath them rumbled. The glowing alien runes on the walls exploded with light, brighter than fire. Strange holograms flickered across the stone shapes of massive alien ships, buried deep under Earth's crust, slowly rising from their prisons. The professor collapsed to his knees. Oh God, it's real. They're real. The alien stepped back, its massive claws clenching with hunger for destruction. Then its voice entered Ethan's mind alone, cold and intimate. I chose you, human. You will live. You will watch your species die. Ethan staggered back, shaking his head violently. No, no. I won't let this happen. The aliens. Laugh was a horrible, guttural sound, echoing like a storm breaking across a dead world. You cannot stop what has already begun. The cavern shook again, this time harder, as though something titanic was rising beneath them. Cracks split across the cave floor, blue light pouring out like lava. Dust and rocks crashed down. Run! Ethan shouted, dragging Lila toward the tunnel. The others followed, stumbling, coughing, as the cavern split apart. Behind them, the alien spread its blade-like arms wide, the stone walls warping and cracking from its power. Its final words roared after them, carried like thunder. Your countdown has begun. In 7 days, Earth dies. They ran through the collapsing tunnels, chased by fire, dust, and the echo of a monster that should never have been freed. And for the first time, Ethan understood. The statue had not been a warning dot, it had been a lock, and he had broken it. The the desert looked calm from above. Stars glittered over endless sand, the wind whispering as if nothing had changed. But beneath the surface, the world had already shifted. Something old had opened its eyes again, and Earth would never be the same. Ethan, Lila, and the others stumbled out of the collapsing cave, choking on dust, lungs burning from the sprint. Behind them, the ground roared, splitting apart in cracks of glowing blue light. Stone boulders crashed as if the desert itself was being torn in two. They collapsed on the sand, coughing, their flashlights useless in the vast night. The professor clutched his chest, his notebook half buried in grit, pages torn. Ethan's body shook, every muscle screaming. For a moment, only silence remained. Then the sound came, not from the cave, from the sky, a deep, throbbing hum, mechanical, alien, like engines waking after 1,000 years of sleep. The stars above seemed to flicker, and then streaks of blue light carved across the heavens. Lila grabbed Ethan's arm, voice trembling. Those aren't shooting stars. No, they were rising. Ships' massive, blade-shaped silhouettes erupting from the desert miles away, breaking free from hidden tombs beneath the earth. The sand boiled upward like volcanoes as one after another clawed out of the ground. Ethan's throat went dry. The Devourer's army, dot by morning. The world knew something was wrong. News broadcasts lit up with reports of earthquakes, strange lights, and oceans that churned with unnatural storms. Fishing boats in the Pacific swore they had seen shadows moving beneath the waves, as if titans slept below. Entire villages near the Andes Mountains vanished overnight, leaving only scorched rock. And melted snow. Governments scrambled. Jets roared into the sky. Satellites scanned furiously. Soldiers deployed across deserts, seas, and tundras. But technology failed. Radios died mid-transmission. Satellites blinked out, one by one, leaving only static. Power grids collapsed in whole regions, as if invisible hands had reached into the wires and torn the energy away. It was not just attack. It was possession. The Devourer's will had seeped into the planet itself. Ethan and the team were dragged into a military convoy by morning. Dust-covered, trembling, they sat inside an armored truck as officers questioned them relentlessly. You saw it? The commander barked. Yes, Ethan whispered. What is it? A weapon? A ship? A life form? Ethan's hands shook. It's all of that, and none. It's death. The commander cursed under his breath and slammed the truck door shut. By afternoon, humanity struck back. Jets streaked toward the desert where alien ships had risen. Missiles tore across the sky, striking the strange black hulls. Explosions lit the horizon with fire and thunder. For a second, it looked like Hope Dot. Then the ships shimmered, their forms rippling like water. The missiles passed through them, detonating. An empty sky, and the ships answered. Beams of blue energy lanced downward. Jets vanished mid-air, shredded into ash. Tanks melted in seconds. Entire battalions were erased in silence, leaving only smoking craters. The professor, watching from a military screen, whispered, "We are insects to them." The devourer appeared again that night. Not in person, but everywhere. Screens flickered. Alive across the globe, TVs, phones, billboards, even dead satellites. His monstrous face appeared, red eyes burning, jaw stretched in that too-wide grin. "Humans," the voice thundered across every city, every home, every ear. "Your skies are mine. Your oceans are mine. Your world is mine. Your countdown continues." Ethan stood among the soldiers, staring at the screen in horror. Somehow, impossibly, the alien looked straight at him. "You," the voice hissed. "My witness." The screen cracked, sparks flying, and went black dot by the third day. The hunt had begun. Alien drones poured from the ship's spider-like machines with blade legs and glowing cores. They swarmed across deserts, forests, and cities, hunting without rest. People screamed in the streets. Some fought back with guns, but bullets only shattered harmlessly against the machines. Others ran, but the drones were faster, tireless. Entire towns went silent overnight, their people simply gone. Dot. It was not just destruction. It was harvesting. Dot. The professor discovered the truth, scrawling frantic notes on scraps of paper. "They're feeding," he gasped. "Every city, they touch power drains. Human bodies vanish. It's energy. They're not just killing us. They're collecting us." Leela shook violently, her voice breaking. "We can't fight this. We can't." Ethan clenched his fists. The shame burned hotter each day. His kiss, his joke, had pulled the trigger on all of this. And now the monster wanted him to watch, wanted him to carry the weight of his entire species' end. He stared at the sky, where alien ships blotted out the stars, and whispered through gritted teeth, "No, I won't just watch. I'll fight." That night, while the military scrambled in chaos, Ethan dreamed. The devourer's voice invaded his mind, smooth and cruel. "You cannot resist me, little human. I gave you purpose. You will witness the end of your kind, and then I will let you live alone forever." Ethan gasped awake, sweating, shaking, and for the first time, something inside him hardened. He knew this was no longer about running, or hiding, or waiting for governments to fix things. It was about finding the truth. Why had humanity once beaten the devourer? How had they locked it away? Somewhere, hidden in Earth's forgotten history, the answer still waited. And if he could find it, maybe, just maybe, he could finish what their ancestors had started, but far across the seas. Unseen in the dark, one of the alien ships cracked open fully. A shape unfolded taller than skyscrapers, crawling with claws, and glowing veins of blue fire. A true war machine. The first of many. And it whispered into the night, in a language no human should understand. The hunt begins. The resistance. The world was falling apart. By the fifth day, cities burned across continents. The devourer's drones swarmed like insects, harvesting both power and people. Entire skylines went dark. Airplanes fell from the sky like birds shot in mid-flight. Oceans boiled with the rise of alien warships, black silhouettes stretching higher than any human structure ever built. Humanity fought back, but their weapons were ants biting a giant. Nuclear warheads launched, detonating in fire brighter than Suns, yet the alien ships shimmered, absorbed the blasts, and grew stronger. Each desperate strike only fed them. Humanity's doom felt certain. But Ethan refused to surrender. He sat in the ruins of a military command post, staring at broken screens showing endless red alerts. The professor scribbled in his ruined notebook, pages crammed with shaky handwriting and equations no one else could understand. Lila sat silently, hugging her knees, eyes empty with shock. Ethan broke the silence. There has to be a way. We beat it before. Our ancestors beat it. The professor scoffed bitterly. Our ancestors also buried it instead of destroying it. Perhaps they only delayed the inevitable. No, Ethan snapped, fists slamming against the table. They didn't just delay. They stopped it. We need to know how. His words echoed in the empty bunker. Soldiers around them had lost faith. Some had deserted. Others sat in silence, faces gray with hopelessness. Humanity was cracking under the weight of despair. That night, Ethan dreamed again. He was standing in the desert cave, the statue's golden eyes burning into him. The devourer's voice slithered through his mind. Humanity is weak. You feed me with your fear. Every scream, every tear, every hopeless thought strengthens me. Despair is your true cage, and I am its master. Ethan staggered back. If fear feeds you, then the devourer's grin widened. Yes, now you understand? Hope is poison to me. Unity is death. That is why you will fail, for your species cannot unite. You will tear yourselves apart. Faster than I ever could. The dream shattered. Ethan woke gasping, drenched in sweat. But this time, he felt something new in his chest. An idea. A weapon. By dawn, he shared it with the professor and Lila. It feeds on fear. It said it itself. That's why it shows visions, why it taunts us. Every time people despair, it grows stronger. But when humanity fought together 1,000 years ago, maybe they weakened it enough to trap it. The professor frowned, tapping his pen. Psychological energy as a weapon? Ridiculous. But then his eyes widened. Unless that was exactly what happened. The chains of stone may not have been only physical. Perhaps the prison was built on collective defiance, a world united in willpower. Yes, it could be possible. Ethan leaned forward, fire in his eyes. Then we need to make the world believe again. Not in weapons, in themselves. Lila whispered, almost too soft to hear. But how do you make a broken world believe? When everything they see is death? Ethan stared at her. Then his jaw tightened. By standing up, by showing them we can fight. Even if it's suicide, we have to try. We have to light the spark. That night, the first resistance was born. It wasn't a government. It wasn't an army. It was just fragment scientists, soldiers, civilians, connected through failing radios and flickering screens. Ethan spoke to them all, his voice trembling, but strong enough to carry across the scattered survivors. This enemy is not unstoppable. It wants you to believe you are nothing. But humanity has never been nothing. We crossed oceans, we built cities, we touched the stars. We beat it once, we can do it again. Do not feed it with fear. Do not surrender. Stand, fight, together. 4. The first time in days, silence broke not with screams, but with cheers. The resistance struck. Drones swarmed into a ruined city, only to be met with humans who refused to run. Civilians with makeshift weapons, soldiers with failing rifles, scientists redirecting broken satellites into blinding flares. Every act was small, but it was united. And for the first time, the drones faltered. Not much, but enough. Ethan saw. The alien machines glitched, their glowing cores flickering weakly. When soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, Refusing to flee, the drones stumbled as if drunk. The professor shouted in awe. He's right, unity hurts them. But victory did not last. A shadow fell over the city. The devourer itself descended, its massive form blotting out the moon, eyes burning red. With one gesture, blue fire rained down, erasing entire blocks. In silence, the screams returned, the hope shattered, and the alien laughed. Pathetic, you cannot resist. The humans scattered in terror. The spark of resistance began to dim. Ethan fell to his knees, despair crashing over him. The alien grew stronger again, feeding on the fear around it. But then something unexpected happened. Lila stood. She stepped forward, staring at the alien, and screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. You don't own us. You don't own me. Her voice cracked the silence. Others followed, shouting, screaming, chanting, refusing to give the monster there. Fear, the devourer, froze. For the first time, its grin faltered. Its red eyes dimmed, just slightly. Ethan rose, realization burning in his chest. This is it. This is how they beat you before. Not with weapons. He turned to the humans. With will. Don't give it fear. Give it fire. The crowd roared, voices uniting into one sound. The alien trembled. The drones sparked and fell dead. The devourer's voice roared across the city, shaking the earth. ENOUGH. But in that roar was something new. Not triumph, not weakness, not that night. Ethan understood the truth. The war would not be won with guns or missiles. It would be won with unity, with defiance, with hope itself. But the devourer also understood, and it would not allow humanity a second chance to cage it. The final confrontation was coming, and the countdown ticked closer to 0. The final choice, the 7th day, arrived. Across the world, silence hung heavy, broken only by the distant hum of alien engines. Cities lay in ruins. Oceans churned with strange shadows. The skies burned red as alien ships blotted out the sun. Humanity's last dawn looked more like twilight in the shattered resistance motor. Ethan stood with Lila, the professor, and the last fragments of soldiers and civilians who refused to give up. They all knew what day it was. The final day. The end of the countdown. The professor spoke in a broken whisper. Every clock, every measurement, it ends today. At sundown, it unleashes whatever it has been preparing. A purge, a final erasure. Layla looked at Ethan, her eyes tired but burning with fire. Then we end it before it ends us. Ethan nodded, though his chest trembled with fear. He could still feel the devourer inside his mind, whispering, laughing, feeding on his doubt. But he also remembered the way it faltered when humanity stood united. That was the key. Now they had to use it. The last march, the resistance gathered, battered but unbroken, and moved toward the heart of the storm. In the desert where Ethan had first kissed the statue, a massive alien tower now rose, black metal, fused with stone, veins of glowing blue crawling across its surface. It pulsed like a living organ, sending waves of energy through the earth. That's it, the professor muttered. The core, that's where it anchors itself to the planet. Destroy it, and we may sever its hold. The tower loomed taller than any skyscraper, guarded by swarms of drones and war machines. But humanity didn't run. They charged. Bullets rattled. Missiles screamed. Homemade bombs detonated in flashes of fire. And for every human who fell, another rose to take their place. The world's last stand had begun. Ethan fought at the front, rifle shaking in his hands. But his true weapon wasn't in the bullets he fired. It was in the way he screamed, rallied, shouted to the broken soldiers around him. Don't give it fear. Don't let it feed. Fight together. And when voices rose in unison, shouting back, The alien drones faltered again, their movements glitching, sparks spitting from their cores. But then the sky split. The devourer arrives from the clouds. Descended the nightmare itself. The devourer, taller than towers, claws dripping with molten fire, red eyes blazing like dying suns. Its voice rolled across the battlefield like thunder. Your resistance amuses me, but it ends now. It lifted one claw, and the earth itself split, swallowing whole squads of soldiers. It spread its wings of fire and shadow, and then sky turned black. Ethan froze, staring up at it. His body screamed at him to run. His soul wanted to collapse. But deep inside, he remembered the dream, the weakness, hope, unity. This wasn't about killing the alien with weapons. This was about breaking its hold with humanity's will. He dropped his rifle, and he ran straight toward it. The devourer, the confrontation, the battlefield blurred behind him as Ethan climbed the black stone tower, dodging collapsing debris, ducking under the alien's swipes. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he kept climbing at the top. He stood face to face with the monster. Its eyes glared, its mouth split into that endless grin. You cannot win, human. I have devoured worlds greater than yours. Your unity is fragile. Your hope is a spark in the dark. I will snuff it out. Ethan's voice shook, but he forced strength into it. Maybe, but even one spark can start a fire. The devourer laughed, a sound like breaking mountains. And what will you do, Spark? You cannot kill me. Ethan stepped closer, staring straight into its burning eyes. No, but I can deny you. He spread his arms wide and screamed not in fear, but in defiance. His voice carried across the battlefield. Humanity. Don't give it fear. Give it fire. Stand together. And something happened. The final choice across the battlefield. Broken soldiers rose to their feet. Civilians, wounded and bleeding, shouted. In unison, all across the world, radios crackled with voices refusing to surrender. Screens flickered with chants of defiance. For the first time in history, every human on Earth shouted together, and the devourer screamed. Its body flickered, veins of red fire dimming, claws shaking. Its massive form shrank and twisted, as if reality itself was rejecting it. The power it fed on the despair, the fear was gone. Ethan stumbled forward, every bone in his body trembling. He looked into the fading eyes of the alien. You lose, because you never understood us. We are not your food. We are humanity, and we don't kneel. The devourer roared one last time, a sound that shook the stars. Then its form cracked, shattered, and collapsed in a storm of light. The alien tower crumbled. The drones fell silent. The skies cleared. The countdown ended. The battlefield was silent. Humanity had survived. Ethan stood among the ruins, his body battered, his heart still racing. Around him, survivors rose slowly, staring at the empty sky in disbelief. The professor clutched his ruined notebook, tears streaming down his face. Leela staggered to Ethan's side, her hand finding his. It's over, she whispered. Ethan nodded, though deep in his chest he knew something darker. For now. Because as he turned to look at the fallen ruins of the alien tower, his breath caught in the rubble. Half buried lay the shattered remains of the statue, the one he had kissed 7 days ago. Its golden eyes were closed. Its stone face was still. But as Ethan stared, for just a fraction of a second, one eye flickered and went dark again. *like and subscribe for more powerful HFY sci-fi stories.